Bloomberg's international economics and policy correspondent Mike McKee recently spoke with Senator George Mitchell, former Senate Majority Leader and former United States Special Envoy for Middle East Peace. He asked Senator Mitchell about the Trump administration's confirmation roadblocks.
I think it has been slower than most. It is a disadvantage, but to me, not one that can't be overcome. I think that once the administration can settle down, stabilize, not feel the need to rush everything out, sort of like a fire hose of information and decrees, I think that they'll settle down, and I'm hopeful that Secretary of State Tillerson and Secretary of Defense Mathis particularly are able to bring some degree of continuity and stability into our foreign policy. I personally don't think that the president's going to have too much difficulty in his administration on domestic issues. The economy is pretty strong, despite what he says about it being terrible. Unemployment is in less than 5%. Growth is projected at about 2.5% this year. So I can't see any real problems there. I think the repeal of Obamacare will be a problem down the road. But it's in foreign policy that I think the real dangers lie for our country. And I think it's very important that the president get up to speed and establish some degree of stability and continuity there.
How much is U.S. foreign policy greater, in a sense, than any one man or administration? The world is nervous about Donald Trump, but does the institutional policy of the United States sort of overcome that? How much damage could be done, and how quickly would it have to be repaired?
One of the interesting aspects of traveling around the world, as I do, is to gain an appreciation of just how important the United States is in the lives of people everywhere. The interest in our elections sometimes exceeds that in our own country. The extent to which people listen to and are influenced by the words and actions of a president are truly extraordinary. They are, in a sense, flattering to our country. The reality is that the United States is by far the dominant power, by far the largest and strongest economy. Our currency is the world's reserve currency, without a doubt the most powerful military force ever assembled on the face of the earth. All this talk about Russia, I cite one simple fact. California's economy is twice the size of Russia's. One state is twice as big as Russia in economic activity. Of course it's a matter of concern how we deal with Russia, but the reality is no one comes close to the United States in influencing world events. Not that we can control them, but we can influence events everywhere. And that requires strong and consistent and effective leadership by the United States, beginning with the president.
I might mention that Governor Brown is not getting along with the administration right now either.
That's true.
He's angered Russia and he's angered California. The Israelis. The president this week, meeting with Bibi Netanyahu, suggested that he was willing to give up on the two-state solution. Is that a good idea?
No, I don't think it is. I urge every one of your viewers to pull up a speech given by President George W. Bush in January of 2008 in Jerusalem, when he spoke to Palestinian and Israeli leaders, and he made the case for the American policy that supports two states living side by side in peace, and why Israelis should be vested in a Palestinian state and Palestinians should be vested in security, sustainable and reasonable security for the people of Israel. That's what's needed to solve this conflict and to contribute to a resolution of conflicts in the surrounding area. It's not the only issue, and it can't be viewed in isolation. And there is no one-state solution. That's an illusion. That will lead to the kind of conflict, internal disagreement that originally created the demand for partition. And if we now go down the route of trying to come up with a one-state solution, it will confront the people of Israel with a hugely difficult choice, because they can't accommodate a Palestinian majority. They will have to either deny Palestinians their democratic rights or be a minority Jewish society.
Certainly, Prime Minister Netanyahu knows that.
Well, yes, but he also knows that that's not going to happen anytime soon, and that's down the road. And for most people in office, dealing with issues right now is the problem. I really think that, and I've said many times to Prime Minister Netanyahu, I spent a lot of time with him, that they're better off making a deal with the Palestinians as they made a deal with the Egyptians, which still stands, as they made a deal with the Jordanians, which still stands, and keeping those agreements in force is a very important part of Israeli policy to this day. And I think the same would be true of a Palestinian state. Now, the Prime Minister argues, and it's a credible argument, if that state fails, we're left with Hamas in control right in the heart of Israel. That's a valid concern. My argument is that Palestinian state failing is greater in the absence of an agreement than with one. And if they don't do something, that will fail, and there will be Hamas in the heart of Israel.